I sometimes feel like in country music we're kind of like the border, a little too wide open. We just everybody come on in.
So Gretchen is not a Post Malone fan? Maybe. Hold that thought, because her response to this question about if Post Malone is good for country sort of underlines how complex the question really is. Jelly Roll, Jason Aldean, Luke Combs, Carly Pearce, and more all had something to say about it. I'll ask you now, what do you think? Comment below. I think we could debate without getting disrespectful, right? Without a doubt, Jelly Roll had the hottest take.
He's one of the best dudes on earth, the sweetest soul on earth, and he knows more about country music than guys in this town that have 10 number ones.
Not everyone agrees with him. Time codes to find your favorite artist below. Jelly Roll was echoing what Brad Paisley said about Post. Talking to the Zach Kuhn Show, Brad said, quote, "He knows as much as you or I about the history of this stuff. When Toby Keith passed away, he knows everything about Toby. He's so capable. He doesn't read the words of karaoke for anything that was on the charts from the 90s on. He knows it, and he's a student of it."
Do we get to Post Malone without Jelly Roll and what you did for country music?
Oh, dude. Well, I think, yeah, because Post is like me in the regard of he is true to country music. There's an interview that Post said 7 or 8 years ago when he was like, 10 years from now, I'm going country. It's like when he released, you remember when he released that, I've been spending all my money on weed and pills, trying to write a song that'll pay the bills, when he covered that Sturgill Simpson record. This was, 5 years ago? It's like this has been his heart.
Okay, so Brad's always been pretty progressive, and Jelly Roll kind of loves everybody. So I wanted to know what people who are a little bit more conservative thought. People like Jason Aldean and Gretchen Wilson. Here's what Gretchen had to say, uninterrupted this time.
I sometimes feel like in country music we're kind of like the border, a little too wide open. We just everybody come on in. We're gonna. I get that feeling, but then there's other moments where I'm like, I'm so glad that country music is so all-encompassing and that we have so much of a variety for people to listen to. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things, like if you don't like this song, well, you'll turn it off. You'll find another one that you do like. But country music has become so wide that if you can't find some part of country music that you like, well, there's kind of something wrong with you.
Jason Aldean is also a fan. I mean, if you're anti-Post, 1, good on you for getting to this part of the video, and 2, who is your country music ally? Dolly Parton and Hank Jr. both recorded duets for the F1 Trillion album. I mean, when Hank Jr. puts his thumb on a project, it's country, right?
To me, it seems like country's one of those things that, whenever somebody's career maybe is doing not as well as it once did, sometimes they always like to come over to country. I don't think that's the case with Post. I think he's just a country fan that likes to, loves the people in the genre. He loves the music, and I think the country music fans, and a lot like they did with Kid Rock, will kind of welcome him with open arms. They won't do that for everybody, but I think he's a guy that country music fans like. They like his music, feel like he kind of fits in with what we do here. It's not, trying to force a whatever it is, square peg in a round hole kind of thing.
Right.
Like it makes more sense with him, I think, him and guys like Kid Rock. So I love his music. He's super cool. I had a good time hanging out with him, and I see he's kind of doing stuff with a lot of different artists now, and who knows, we may do something with him at some point. I don't know for sure, but he's a guy that I think could thrive in this business in our genre more so than a lot of the other pop guys that try to come over here and do that.
The smartest thing Post Malone did is cultivate relationships within country music long before he started to write any songs. Hardy pointed this out. Talking to the Zach Sang Show, he said, quote, "He came to Nashville and he sat and listened. He came to Nashville and said, I want to do this the way that you guys do it." He had songwriters that the world has never heard of, but in Nashville, they've written tons of hit songs. But he didn't just want me and Ernest, Morgan Wallen, and Brad Paisley, and Eric Church, and Tim McGraw. He was like, who are the good songwriters in this town? I want to write with those guys.
I bumped into him, and I was like, hey, I'm Dasha. And he's like, hey, I'm Austin. I was like, yeah, I have a song called Austin. He's like, yeah, I know. And I was like, sick. This is sick. Because I'm such a Post fan. Like, his early shit. Sorry, I can't.
You're good.
But he's just, once again, his songwriting and his attitude, and he's so himself in his artistry, which is the hardest thing as an artist to do is be yourself. And I know it sounds really stupid, but there's so many voices all the time that it's so hard to block everything out and be like, no, I believe in myself enough and I'm gonna be exactly like this. He's the master at that. And I like really look up to him in that way. And I wanna get more like that in my music, in my artistry.
I think when you're picking teams, you have to at some point evaluate the strength of the team you chose. Who else is on Team Post Isn't Country? I actually did find one artist, Wheeler Walker Jr. He said, "We don't need people with all over their face. You're basically Florida Georgia Line with face tattoos." Wheeler is the alter ego for comedian Ben Hoffman. The seriousness of his convictions is always in doubt.
I love Post Malone. I think he's doing it in such a cool way, and in such a way that feels very much like the whole country community is rallying around him. And I have to say, his song with Morgan is stuck in my head most hours of most days.
I dropped a link to another video that I think you'll enjoy here, and YouTube selected one they think you'll like here. I'm Billy Dukes for Taste of Country. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.